I'm Walt and this is Delta Astrophotography. And in this video, we're going to learn how to blend a foreground with a Milky Way sky. Now, why would I want to take my foreground separate? Well, if you're using a star tracker to take Milky Way nightscapes, then the ground is going to blur and you'll need to take the foreground separately. Also, if you live in a really dark area like me, there's no way you can really light up your foreground without using artificial lighting, which I just don't like doing. So I choose to take my foreground photos at a different time, maybe late in the evening around twilight or on a separate night under the light of a moon. I'm going to show you two methods that I use to do the blending. The second one is so incredibly easy. It's just a click of a few buttons. And if you haven't discovered this technique already, you're going to love it. It's going to save you so much time. And after we edit, I just got a little bit of news I'd like to share with you. So stick around to the end. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get to editing. Okay, so here's an idea of what we're working towards. These were both taken on the same night, just at different times. The house was taken at twilight, the blue hour, whatever you want to call it, and the background was just taken a few hours later in pretty much the same spot. But what I do like to do is when I go to take my Milky Way background, I walk around to the back side of the house. That way I don't have anything in my view but just sky. There's nothing back here but fields and distant trees. It really helps to have your sky be mostly sky and not have anything, in front of it. It helps the blending process go so much better. And if you're photographing distant mountains or a lake or something, you don't have to worry about this. But when you're photographing objects up close to you like this, I typically like to walk around the other side, get mostly sky. Anyway, enough talking about that. Let's get right into it. We're going to start with the Milky Way. Okay, so here's our Milky Way background. This photo is actually a stack of about 30 photos with some dark frames as well. As you can see, the foreground is pitch black, which is why I like taking foregrounds separately. And also you can see it's kind of blurred and it's running up the right side of the image. I'm very glad that that house is not in this photo because it would have been blurred as well and moving around, and that's just a mess and it makes blending more difficult. Anyway, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to edit our Milky Way photo, and we want to edit it to where it's kind of neutral, I'm not going to go into how to edit the Milky Way in this tutorial because we already have enough to talk about with blending. But what I'm going to do is make a companion video to go along with this one. So you'll see it right now in the top right, and it'll also be a link for it in the description. Check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about how to process Milky Way photos like this. Alright, now that we've gotten our basic Milky Way edit done, we're going to want to save this as a TIFF file because that's going to come in handy later when I show you my second method of blending. And the newest version of Photoshop can make saving things a little tricky. Instead of save as, now you go save as copy and save it as a TIFF file. Just call it whatever. Put it in whatever folder you want and uncheck layers. You don't need all those layers. Now I've already got a saved Milky Way file, so I'm not going to worry about doing this, but go ahead and save a TIFF file. Now we're going to jump on over to our foreground. Here we go. As you can see, it's taken in the blue hour, twilight. The background's almost completely black, like all these trees back here. That's what I like to see. That's kind of what it looks like to my eyes at night. You can see what's in front of me, but I cannot make out any detail of what's going on back there. But the problem is this is a little too blue. So let's take some of that blue out by going to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. I'm going to click on Color Mixer here, and I'm just going to bring the blues down until it's a very neutral color. I don't want too black and white, but that looks about right to me. It's kind of neutral. I'm going to click OK. Now for the first method, we're going to come over here, we're going to click Quick Selection Tool. It should be the fourth one down from the top. It might be set to Object Selection Tool or Magic Wand Tool, so just right click it, make sure Quick Selection Tool is set. Now we're going to come up here and click Select and Mask. Over here I like to have my view mode set to Overlay. So now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click my foreground and start dragging across it. Oh, I'm set to zoom. Make sure Quick Selection Tool up here is set. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to start dragging across my foreground. Maybe up a little bit to catch the top of the house, and back over. And as you can see, it's automatically finding my foreground. Look at that. It did a really good job picking out my foreground. But it's not perfect. Let's click the zoom tool and zoom in. Look at the chimney in this house. You can see it's a bit red here, and then the edges here are a bit gray. And we need to refine that a little bit. And you can do that by clicking on your brush tool right here. And then click right here and make sure our hardness is all the way down. Okay? We can change our brush size with the bracket keys. And basically I'm just going to paint in right here. Just try to get it as perfect as I can. For these areas where it should be red instead of gray right there, I'm going to come over here and click the minus button. Make sure my hardness is all the way down. Shrink that brush a little bit. There we go. And we can hold the space bar and just move around in the photo and check for other spots. Like, here we go. I want to try to get some of the red out there. Click the plus tool. Change my brush size a touch with the bracket keys, and we're just going to kind of paint all that red in. Make sure all my edges are good and smooth. Here's where it would really be a problem. This can be time consuming, but it's worth it. I'm just going to kind of rush through it today because we've got more to talk about, but you would want to spend a lot of time on this. And there we go. Our foreground is fully selected. So we're going to hit OK. You can see marching ants around everything. I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to come back over here to my Milky Way. I'm going to hit Control V. Now I'm just going to move this down. There we go. I can also move my Milky Way background around as long as this move tool up here in the top is selected, but I think it's fine right where it is. And there you have it. We've got a blended Milky Way background with a foreground. But let's say you had a more complicated foreground, like this. Check out how difficult that looks. And if you don't see any Milky Way back here, for the purist might be thinking, oh, he's cheating. But actually, you know, this is a single shot that I took with my Canon T5i. I assure you, the Milky Way's back there. It just wasn't at the time I took this particular foreground picture. If we were to try the same method with this picture, I'm going to first try to get a little more of a cool color balance because there's a red light over here making these things blue. So let's go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, and Color Mixer. Just going to bring down some of these oranges and reds and yellows. Make it neutral. All right. Now let's try that selected mask technique on this one. Click my quick selection tool over here. Click selected mask. And I'm going to try the same thing. Make sure my quick selection tool is selected over here, and I'm going to try to paint in my foreground. It's not getting these. See, it's just not working out for me. I would have to spend a lot of time refining all this little, space in between these towers here. So I don't want to use this technique. We're going to try something a little different. Cancel here. All right, so we're going to try this other technique. And ever since I've discovered it, this has been the main way I do this because it is so incredibly simple and it's just built right into Photoshop. We're going to go up here at the top to edit and click sky replacement. Yes, it's that easy. Now, the first thing it's going to do is it's automatically going to try to put one of their default skies on there, or something you might have done in the past. See, we don't need a blue daytime sky. We're going to select the photo that we saved, that we've edited. We'll do that by clicking this little down arrow right here. Click this little square with a plus sign in the middle. Import skies from images. I'm going to find... There it is. This is a Milky Way shot that I took specifically for this photo that I saved earlier. I'm going to click open and give it just a sec. There it is. I'm just going to select it. Ha! And that looks really good. Really good. You can do some adjustments. Shift edge. Yeah, we don't want to do that at all. Maybe shift it in this way a little bit. You can change the brightness and color temperature of your sky. So if I want my sky to be a little brighter, if I think it's too warm or something like that, or too cool. And we can just hit OK. And that was just so easy, just a few clicks, and I think it did an incredible job. Look at that. Now, if there was some minor adjustments you need to make, you can do that by coming down here in your layers. As you can see, Sky Replacement has added several layers here. There's a sky layer, and we can click on that by holding Alt and clicking that. Our foreground needs to be dark, and our background needs to be white. So we'll just use our Dodge and Burn tool. Dodge to lighten areas. Bring my exposure up a little bit. See how it's kind of a little dark right here? That's supposed to be sky, but it's kind of getting dark. Use my bracket keys to adjust the size of this brush, and we're just going to use the Dodge tool to brighten up some of these areas. I'm going to change that exposure up even more. Let's do 50%. And we want to make sure our foreground is dark, so we can switch over to our Burn tool. Bring the exposure of that up a little bit. And click on our foreground, and it just makes our foreground even more defined. Switch back over to Dodge. Hit some of these darker areas around my subject. Maybe over here. Take your time with it. I really didn't have to do all this. I'm just doing it to show you in case you wanted to refine your selection. All right. I just think that looks about perfect. I couldn't think of an easier way to do this. All right. I hope you got something out of that. That was pretty fun to make. It's going to be Milky Way season for a few more months, so get out there and enjoy it. I'm going to be doing some new things in the next few months. If you're fans of Astro Backyard and OPT, you already know what this is, but this is a Radian Raptor 61. This is my first imaging telescope, and I'm very, very excited to try it out. It's not my first telescope, but definitely my first one like this. This is a Canon T5i, and I am about to send it off to be astro modified in the next few weeks. And I've also ordered a German equatorial go-to mount, which of course is back ordered, but it should be here in the next few months. This year is going to be a great year for astrophotography, and I can't wait to share my journey with you. If you like this kind of stuff, please subscribe. If you liked this video, leave me a like, it helps the channel. And always leave me a comment. I love hearing from you guys, even the constructive criticism. So that's all for today. Stay spacey, everybody. Clear skies, and good night.